Hi, this is Faith Bernard, and I'm sitting here in my home in beautiful Sedona, Arizona, and I'm also known as a holistic entrepreneur, and I'm looking forward to doing today's video on why do we do three-way calls? Well, they've been done forever, but that's not the reason why we're doing them. We're doing three-way calls because they work. If you want to create massive duplication in your organization, you've got to incorporate three-way calls as part of your process. It's not the only part, but it's a key piece. So you probably remember a video I did on something called ADAG. A standing for getting their attention, I building interest because they're seeing a video, and then D for desire is where the three-way call comes in, or a conference call, or a community online, or a thread with multiple people in that Facebook thread that can give validation for the product, service, and opportunity. But three-way calls give a much more personal connection, especially with key contacts. You really want to use them. So why three-way calls? Why do they work so well? Well, let's look at the way that we as humans interact with each other. When you were growing up, when I was a kid, if my mom said, or my grandmother even said something to me that you shouldn't do this or you should do that, sometimes I would ignore them. And why is that? Because I really knew them very well, and they were telling me things all the way along, and pretty soon you start going to have a deaf ear, so to speak. And then I would hear the exact same thing a week or two later from maybe a friend's parent or a teacher or someone else, and all of a sudden I took it a lot more seriously because I was hearing it we were listening and hearing that same information with what is called third party. So that's what we call it in network marketing. It's third party, means someone other than yourself. One of the people I just so love online, Billy Funk, did an excellent training, do a shout out for Billy, where he said if you are the person that is introducing something to someone, don't be the presenter. In other words, you can't be the introducer and the presenter with the same person. It never ever works. He actually talked about a story when he first started out in network marketing. He was doing presentations in his home. He'd invite the people, so now he's the inviter, right? And the people would come over, and then he would do all the presenting, and then no one would enroll in his business. And he couldn't figure out what was going wrong because he did a great presentation and all of that. And as it turned out, people would say, well, God, that's great information. It sounds like an incredible opportunity, but it's just not for me. He finally figured out why it wasn't for them is they couldn't see themselves being the inviters and the presenters like he was doing with them, and all of a sudden there was a disconnect. So when you do a three-way call, you're doing a couple things. One, the person, let's say that I'm working with Mary, and Mary invites Joe to hear about hear about her business and our business together. She just piques interest. She gets Joe to a video, which he then in turn reviews. And he shows interest. He says, yeah, this looks really interesting. She then either sets up ahead of time or on the fly, and we'll talk about the different types of three-way calls in another video, but she'll set up usually an appointment. It's a good time for Joe, a three-way with her sponsor. In this case, we'll say I'm the sponsor. So now we get on the phone, and I become that third party for Mary with Joe. So Joe already trusts Mary, and she piqued his interest. She was the inviter, and he took a look at some information in the form of a video, and now I'm relationship building with Joe, getting to know who he is, asking questions, sharing information back and forth, looking for commonalities so we sort of tie in on that, and then I share my story around the company, the products, the service, and the opportunity. So now he's hearing about that third party rather than hearing all that information from Mary, who in turn would not have the same influence because he looks at me as also what we call the outside expert. Why am I an outside expert? Because he doesn't know me. Because I've, in a sense, validated what Mary probably shared with him already, but because he doesn't know me, he's going to listen differently. He's going to hear it differently. Just like we did as kids or even as we grew up, we would hear something and maybe just sort of give it minimal attention And then as soon as we heard it from maybe one other person, two other people, three other people, pretty soon all of a sudden it's much more validated in your mind, and then your listening changes. Sometimes we have to hear things 4 or 5 times. In fact, that's why they say online, a lot of times it may be 5, 7, 10 exposures before someone makes a buying decision, because they need to have that repetition. But just as importantly, we need to have that outside verification from someone other than the person introducing us to the product, service, or the opportunity. So it's just that simple. That's why we do 3 ways. They work. That's number 1 reason. And this is the psychology behind it. So that's it for this video. Really have a great day. We'll catch you on the next video. I'm going to do another video specifically breaking down what a great, I would say a perfect 3-way call, but let's say a great 3-way call would look like or sound like. So we'll catch me on the next video for that information.